This is the Tuesday live show coming at you each and every week. And today's topic is finding value in a given market to get paid. And I'm pumped about this topic because this is the essence of your business. So before I get into that, I do record all of these Tuesday live shows and I put them on my website, sellingcoaching.com, under the university. So please check that out as I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And I have some great resources there for you. And they're just not general resources. They're specific resources. And especially right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com, I have a great resource called the Launching a Full-Time Coaching Business, Your First 3 Vital Steps. So you can enter your name and email address, and you'll have instant access to that. That's an audio course that you can play and listen to right away. That's going to really help you with the first 3 vital steps and the things that you really need to know as you get started in your business. And even if you've started your business, it's going to be great because you're going to understand some of the things that you should have done if you haven't done them yet, or if you're on the right track or not. So that's a resource right on the homepage of sellingcoaching.com. Also, it's going to put you into my email community, and that is going to allow you to not only keep up with the stuff that I'm doing, get some great content, but you're going to be able to see how I stay in touch and communicate with my audience on a regular basis, because that's vital for your audience. Before we get rolling on this, I also am available for one-on-one mentor coaching. This isn't coaching. This is mentor coaching, where I'm going to specifically guide you and help you structure your business, launch your business, wherever you're at in that stage. Not only get you to the point where you've got that structure for your emails, your weekly marketing, but I'm going to help you with a marketing plan and understand the value that you bring to the market, which we're going to get to in a second. And then additionally from there is, how do we convert those leads into paying clients so you can actually get paid for what you do? So if you're interested in learning more about how I can help you as your mentor coach, go to sellingcoaching.com under the Work With Me page and fill out the form at the bottom. I will call you up and we will create a relaxed conversation just to get a feel for where you're at, seeing what's appropriate or not, and then we can figure out what the best steps are, if any, from there. So with that being said, let's talk about this topic today. And this stems off of what I've just said is where I help people as their mentor coach, is helping them, and this is my job today, is in general today, is helping you understand the value that you bring to the market. Now, here's the law of compensation. The law of compensation is how we get paid. So how we get paid is we get paid for the value that we bring to the market. Because money, when people buy something, all it is it's an exchange of value. Meaning, I value something enough, a product or a service, where I'm willing to give that person who has it or who's selling it money, which has value to them, in exchange for something, product or service, that I deem valuable, right? It's very simple. We understand this. I'm kind of breaking it down a little bit more literally so we understand it, right? So it's an exchange of value. And so we get paid for the value that we bring to the marketplace. So as a coach, let's just say our number one product, or our only product, service, if you will, is coaching, right? We can have others as we go along, but that's it. So we have to understand the value of our coaching, and we have to understand the value in it with the market. Now, we understand the value of coaching because we love coaching. We've been coached. We fell in love with coaching because how it transformed us mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically. Who knows how it worked for you, but regardless of that, it's transformed you. So there's been huge value in it. Now you're saying, oh my God, I want to help other people with this thing called coaching, right? So we understand the value in it. But when it comes to your niche, if you will, or as I like to say, your headline of helping who with what specifically, the main reason of finding that out, beyond someone needs to know right away if this is for them or not. For instance, if they go to your website, you go to sellingcoaching.com, and you see helping coaches transition to a full-time business. You show up, you know if this is for you or not. If it's for you, you just bought a little bit more time and you move on. If it's not, you go away. Very simple. If it's vague and just general, I don't know, I scroll for maybe a couple seconds and then I'm gone and distracted, right? So of course it's for that, but having a strong niche headline is bigger than that, is so that the consumer, and you especially as the business owner who's selling a service called coaching, understands the value that you're bringing to that market. Meaning that market has a problem, a challenge, a need that they want help with. And therefore, what you're offering is a potential solution for that. And when they're able to start to understand that solution and how it can help them, what we begin to create is something called value. Very simple. So what I'm going to share is I'm going to go away from the coaching piece, and I'm going to go to an example of this just to help you understand it. I mean, hopefully even with what I've just explained there, helps you understand it even more, just from a different perspective. But the essence of entrepreneurship really is creating something of value that someone sees and says, oh, I value this. It's valuable to me for whatever reason. Doesn't matter the reason. And therefore, I'm willing to give you what you're asking for it, right? I'm going to give you $2,000. I'm going to give you $5. I'm going to give you $20,000. It doesn't matter the number, dollar value associated with it. It's all based, again, upon that perceived value. So I'm going to talk about this example for a second here. And so I don't know if any of you heard who are in the healthcare community or the nursing community, but there was a senator, and she made a statement last week. I believe it was on the 16th of April. And today is, let me just double check. Today is the 23rd. All right. But on the 16th last week, I think it was on Wednesday, she made a statement, something about a bill that was being potentially passed or going, in deliberation in Congress, for nurses having a 30-minute break. They have 8 12-hour shifts mostly, and my girlfriend's a nurse, so I'm very close to this, right? And so they aren't guaranteed a break at all, nor are they guaranteed a break, an uninterrupted break, right? They can't just sit down, and a 12-hour shift, they can't just sit down and just, okay, 30 minutes and have some food or relax or just do whatever, right? So this bill says they're guaranteeing nurses have a 30-minute break, uninterrupted break, right? So the senator makes a statement, and I'm not going to quote this, but she essentially said, she's like, I would lend to believe that most nurses wind up spending most of their shifts playing cards. Now I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what she just said. So now thereon, after that statement, and this is leading up to my example, so just go with me on this, right? So leading up to that, after that statement, as you would imagine, if you're a nurse who, wipes people's ass all night and deals with, I mean, it's a tough job. And a lot of you probably know nurses, maybe you are nurses, but, having been on the other side as a significant other or a nurse, it's stressful, And so, and they work their asses off. And is there downtime sometimes? Absolutely, but not that often. And so the point of it is that the statement she created offended nurses, and it upset nurses. And do they even really need a bill passed to say I can have 30 minutes of break time uninterrupted? But let's not get into the politics of it. Regardless of that, as you can imagine, nurses were like, whoa, and not only that, it was not only the frustration and anger with it, but they're also making fun of it, nurses playing cards, right? And so, as my girlfriend's telling me about this over the weekend and stuff like that, she found a Facebook group that was started, and I don't know the exact date, but I believe it was started on the 18th. I think it was Wednesday, Thursday of last week. So the 18th, today's the 23rd. So this nurse started a Facebook group and called it Nurses Playing Cards. And it's obviously kind of making fun of the statement, but also in the group, there's jokes, there's, it's anger, it's comedy, it's everywhere in between, right? And so what happened was when we first saw the group, I think we saw it on Friday, and like a day after it had been made, and there was 26,000 people in the group. All right. Now I've had my private Facebook group, Selling Coaching private Facebook group, for, I don't know, closing on 4 years, something like that. And I've got almost 2,000 people in it, right? So it's not easy to grow a Facebook group. There are other groups that have been in for a lot longer than that. And maybe they've got 10, 20,000 people in it. I mean, that's really good, right? This within a day had over 26,000 people in it. So I checked this Facebook group, and anyone could join. And it was like every time I refreshed it, there was like another 500 people, like within seconds, 500, 1,000 people in that. By the weekend, it was like 99,000 people. And as of today, which is what, 5 days, I believe it is. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So call it 5 or 6 days in it. There was over 230,000 people in the group. All right. So now let me tell you this first of all, and I'm relating this to what we're doing here, is when there's an interest in something, when there's a need for something, and someone's offering something, and in this case, it's just a forum. It's just an outlet. That's all it is. It's just an outlet. It wasn't like she was like doing this and selling something necessarily, right? It was just like, all right, this is a group for nurses who play cards, right? Jokingly. But obviously it's off the statement that the senator made. And it's a forum for us to kind of like talk and vent and make fun of and do whatever we need to do as nurses. Value, right? There's value in it. So much so that in under a week, this person, let's just say they have 250,000 people, 250,000, I'm just rounding up a little bit because I guarantee you by tomorrow, the next day, there's going to be over 250,000 people easily because it's still growing. It's still growing at the same rate it started off at, right? Of 250,000 people in this group, actively growing. I mean, like you put a post in there and it's just like you refresh the page, your post is already like 10, 15 posts down because people are posting, as you would imagine, this ridiculous with ridiculous rapidity, if that's even a word, right? With speed. So you create something where there's a need and there's an interest, you can build an audience, right? This person has an audience, right? If it could only be so easy, it's not easy for us. But what I want to point out here is when we find a market, we want to find a market where, okay, what does this market need? What do they want? Even if it's a place to talk about or a place to vent or a place to communicate with, right? So you think about different markets, women going through a divorce, or you fill in the blank, someone going through a major transition in life, or people frustrated with a job, or, whatever it is that you're providing for them. Sometimes even the vehicle or the forum can be of value to them. In other words, why would someone want to join my group? Why would someone want to join my email community or be a part of my social media platform, whatever it is, a Facebook group, an Instagram page, or, whatever it is. Why would someone want to follow me? Like, these are the questions we want to ask ourselves, right? What value am I providing? Now, the interesting thing is I checked out the Facebook group. So go with this example for a little bit. It gets even better. So I checked out other Facebook groups with similar names because I'm like, this can't be the only Facebook group with nurses playing cards, right? In fact, as of what I looked this weekend, there was 7 or 8, I didn't count exactly, but let's call it, there was 8 other groups, including this one, with similar names, nurses who play cards, right? Blah, 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 right? But what's interesting is one group had 9,000 people, and as of today, it's still in the 9,000s. In other words, it's not growing. And the other ones were like 5 people, 2 people, 50 people, 100 people, 200 people, and that was it. Nothing ever took off. And I go in the groups and it's just like nothing's happening. But this group is just like exploding, and it's the same group. But if I noticed, there was different. The headline was different. The name of the group was pretty much the same, but the header at the top of the picture said something different. The description said something different. And also timing to market. I don't know when these groups were formed versus this other one, but I'm imagining this one was maybe one of, if not the first one, which started a momentum and a referral and a share. And next thing you know, it's just rapidly exploding, right? So sometimes we can't predict what a thing will do. And if we can have the exact same thing that we're like, wow, look at this group with 200,000 people in it. I'm going to create another group just like it. But you know what? Maybe nothing ever comes of it. So there's a certain part that we can't predict or know why things aren't happening or happening, right? Sometimes it just happens. But I'm just showing you when there's a situation or there's a need, people follow. Now, let me tell you this. This is the value of entrepreneurship. So I'm sitting there with my girlfriend and I'm thinking, I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is great. But I'm like, it's amazing how nurses are banding together. But also, that a lot of them was joking around and the frustrating part about it, and I'm like, you know what? It'd be really cool to see at the coach in me, these nurses, find the opportunity within this to kind of band together as nurses and use this as a conversation piece, use this as a platform to launch off of, right? So there's more of awareness for what nurses go through and what nurses need, et cetera, right? And I said, hey, I looked at it, I'm like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if someone, did one of those silicone bands, like the Lance Armstrong, the Live Strong. And, since then, I think that was the first one that really exploded those silicone bands, and now it's like for every single cause or, promotional items, there's the silicone bands, right? I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if someone did something like that said, maybe nurses with cards or something on it. And as a result of that, you could buy them for yourself. You could buy them for your team at work, give them all out. They're pretty cheap. And it can be a conversation piece. It can be a platform to start a conversation or a reminder of what nurses stand for. And it can bond the nurses together as opposed to just, because sometimes it was getting a little nasty in the Facebook group. And I looked at her and I'm like, that's what entrepreneurship is all about. I'm like, I bet you if I made a band, I bet you I could sell a bunch of these without much effort. So guess what I did? I made a band. So what I did was it was Saturday night, and maybe it was me sick of sitting on the couch because I had knee surgery last week and I was just kind of like resting. And I stayed up till 4 a.m. and I did a little research online, and I found out the cost of creating a band and what it might cost if I sold a certain amount of them. And it wasn't for making money. It was more about, number one, seeing a market, seeing the need that they might have with this. And the need here wasn't like, oh, they needed something as a solution, but I felt like they needed something to kind of bond them together, to create a positive outlook platform to, create more awareness of this. And I'm like, it's a common concept that it's simple enough to understand. It's cheap enough where I can see nurses buying a bunch of them for their coworkers and handing them out. And it's a good conversation piece, and a good reminder of what they're going for. So I created a band and I did a little mock-up of it. I didn't spend a dime yet because I didn't know if my idea worked, right? So instead of ordering, 200 bands and spending $100 or whatever it would be, I essentially priced it out to get an idea of what it might cost if I ordered, let's say, 50 or 100 bands. And then what I did was I went on and I created a lead page or a landing page with a link that basically said with these bands, hey, I put a picture of the band and I, so create awareness. I wrote a little sales copy, if you will, as to why they might want to get these bands, to create an awareness, as much as we're joking around together, let's use this as a platform, as a conversation piece, as a reminder for what we stand for as nurses, to bind us together. You know what I mean? And I said, grab one for you and your team. And I priced it out, from 1 to 5, it was $4 a band. From 6 to 15, it was $3 a band. And 16 plus, it was $2 a band. And that was it. And I woke up the next morning and I already had a couple sales. And it was literally all I did was post in the group like a handful of times. And it was on Easter Sunday as well. And I posted it. I replied to a few things. And over the course of literally through Monday morning, because I stopped doing it on Monday because this isn't like a business I want to do. And I'm not trying to like make gobs of money doing it. I was just kind of like testing out a theory and testing out a thing. I thought it'd be a great thing to bring to my event like this to show you of when you can create something, an idea. That's what entrepreneurship is. You can create an idea, you can turn nothing into something, right? You can turn an idea, if it has value, you can create value, you can create enough value for people where you can earn money from it. So literally, and I posted that late or early Sunday morning on Easter morning, in literally a day's worth of time. By Monday morning, I had 11 sales totaling $167, right? Oh, not the end of the world, right? But it was like, and I wasn't even trying, right? And it just started it. So I actually did the statistics, right? At the time, there was, believe it or not, there was only 150,000 people in the group. Now there's like, 240,000 people, to show you the rapid growth. But I checked my lead page. There were 346 views. Those are the people that clicked from whatever I put on there that went over to the lead page, which, by the way, if you do the percentage of that, that's only 0.23%. of the people. So statistically, you have to realize, even in an active group, statistics aren't really staggering. And out of the 346 views, 11 people bought, which is 3.2%, which is probably what I'd expect. I'm like, if you could sell 3% of the people that view, that's pretty good, right? That's it's actually $164 in sales, right? So I ordered a bunch of bands yesterday. I spent $80 on the bands. I'm probably going to spend another at the most, for 11 sales and shipping, right? It's not going to be $10. Well, let's just call it $10. So I spent $90, right? $164 in sales. Maybe there's a few more sales that roll in, whatever. So let's just call it, I made a profit of $75 for, let's say, 3 hours worth of work, right? $25 an hour, right? And I'm just doing some math for you here. But the whole point is beyond this is like, I'm not doing this for profit. I'm not doing this for like, oh, I'm just doing this more and sharing this story with you so you can start to understand is when it comes to a coaching business, what we're doing is what we're looking for is an opportunity, a place in the market where there's a real challenge that people have, that people want a solution with, right? And that they need some help with. And the more specific you get with something, I mean, this band I made was so specific. It was a white silicone band that said nurses with cards on it. And 11 people bought, meaning, and some of them ordered one band, some of them ordered, 30 bands. You know what I mean? But the point is that they saw enough value in it for themselves. They're like, you know what, this is kind of cool. Or I like the mission behind this, or I like the story behind it, or I like what this is going to do. I like what this represents. Where I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna buy this. They didn't know me. I'm a perfect stranger. I'm not even a nurse. The point is that there was a message behind it that they could get behind. There was enough value to do that. And that's what you're looking to do with your business. Is you're looking to get out there and you're looking to create a message that people can connect with, that people can get behind, that people can resonate with, that people can say, you know what, I want to be a part of this. Right? Put something out there like a free resource on your website, a free resource that's attached to a Facebook group of yours, or they're like, I want to get this. I want to read this. I want to listen to this. I want to watch this. Right? That's what we're looking to do when we create a group or we create our website with our headline. We've got to say, why would someone want to visit my website? Why would someone want to subscribe to my email community? Why would they want to download this resource? If I have a Facebook group or if I'm starting a meetup group, why would someone want to join this group? What's the value in it for them? And how clearly am I expressing that value? How simple is the concept? Sometimes we put too much on and we give too much information and it confuses people. When I did the bands, the reason I want to move forward with the idea was I was more out of like, hey, can I help to the cause and unify nurses? And at the same time, it's exciting for me because I'm at heart entrepreneurial. I'm psychologically unemployable. I love doing stuff like that. It's kind of like me being creative and saying, would this work? Is this idea viable? And if you notice what I did is I tested it in the marketplace. I didn't go drop $100 or whatever and buy, 300 bands and not get any sales. And now I'm like, oh, geez, now I'm out $100 and I've got, whatever 100 bands, that are kind of like just junk or no one can use them. You know what I mean? It's like I tested the market. I saw what happened. I put something together. I made some sales, and then I made a logical decision on what would work in terms of a business decision to move that forward, right? And that's what I'm asking you to do with your business is take a look at it on a deeper level and start to understand the value in a market. What is the value in a market that I want to go into? What is my market? And what is that market deem valuable? What would they deem valuable? And that's based on where their needs are. Hopefully this has been really helpful for you, and maybe just taking, a concept that you hopefully are familiar with or trying to figure out. People are trying to figure out their niche, right? They're trying to figure out who they help with what specifically, but it's a different way of looking at it. And it's from a sales perspective, right? It's a sales perspective. I had to look at this from a sales perspective in terms of the bands that I was doing. And like, is it a simple enough concept? Is it something? I ran up on my girlfriend, like, would you buy one of these? What would you say? What color would you use? And then she's like, why don't you do white band with red writing, because like the Red Cross and it, medical, it's, what I mean? Like a first aid kit, so, white with a red thing on it, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. I was thinking like blue. I don't know why, because I knew the market, but I didn't understand it, right? So just that little bit of market research, if you will. I'm trying to show you what behind the scenes to this example, and it's like, oh yeah, red and white and red, that makes sense, right? So just a little bit of research and things like that and testing it out. And would this work? Would that not work? And we thought of like, oh, maybe a keychain or maybe this. I'm like, well, what about bands? I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. Because people started selling T-shirts. They started selling, other things that nurses have for their badges, and it's like, doesn't mean that those wouldn't sell, but people are starting to look at ways to not necessarily monetize it. But again, like I said, my intention, it wasn't to monetize. It was like, hey, what would be a cool way to, unify this and use this as an opportunity, a platform to bounce off of, right? And it kind of went from there. And the same thing with your business is we're not coming at it from a perspective of like, oh, how can I monetize that? Yeah, we've got to think about it, but that's where we always have to come back up from our why we're doing what we're doing, why we do what we do. And then from there, we've got to then analyze that idea and that message to say, well, how viable in the marketplace is this? Test it out a little bit, see how it works.